Doing something for the first time is wild. And when you think of the outdoors, it's inherently wild. I think the most important thing for me is sharing an activity, sharing what I love with people that have not experienced that or have some kind of barrier related to it. The magic of being able to create that bond, that connection with an activity, a person, a place, that's special. Welcome in to another episode of Sincerely Yours Outdoors. We are here, back in school, baby.
I love it.
Ooh,
yes,
yeah.
Sir, yes, sir.
Give me my coloring sheet. I'm ready to get busy. But we are kicking it with our brother Lloyd here. Beautiful space, but I'm going to turn it over to you to introduce this space for what it means to you.
Okay, so right now we are in Community Empowerment Association, also known as CEA, staple in the Homewood community for over 25 years, from everything from after-school programming, summer programming through the school year. It's his family. You know what I mean, this is definitely family. Shout out to Martell, my guy. You know what I mean, Queen Mother and Brother Rashad, because there's no Brother Lloyd without CEA. You know what I mean? And when I started here, everybody's brother or sister. I mean, that was the first name, because especially working in truancy, when I come into your school and I say, "Yeah, I'm Mr. Cheatham," I'm maybe already an authority figure in your life, and you don't even know me. But call me Brother Lloyd, I'm part of your family already. So that name has been with me since 2008. And being in my dissertation at Duquesne, when we first started, what's your name? And it's like, do I say Lloyd? Do I say Brother Lloyd? It's like, no, my name's Brother Lloyd. I mean, that's who I am. When the kids see me at Giant Eagle, Brother Lloyd, it's, I mean, name Mr. Cheatham. So CEA is more than just a nonprofit. You know what I mean? CEA really groomed me to the man I am, to the husband I am. So I owe nothing but the utmost gratitude and respect, you know what I mean, to not only this building, but the people that co-founded it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's with the heavy hitter right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because, the first introduction I had to you, I didn't hesitate. I was like, this is Brother Lloyd, you know? It felt like family. That's back home for us, you know? So I rolled right into it. I didn't even question it. So I'm glad that you're sharing that experience and that importance for identity and community sense, and that it was found here. I mean, specifically, like I said, I feel like I'm back in school, but when you introduced literally this room, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to have so much fun in here. So there's a little bit more of importance in this room as well, correct?
Yeah, so crazy. So when we came in here, the guys were setting up the camera. I sat down at the table, and the name read the daughter of my homie, whose birthday was yesterday, but he was tragically killed 3 years ago. We celebrated. We didn't celebrate, but we went to his balloon release. His oldest daughter hit me up, texted me, he's like, "You coming to my dad's balloon release?" Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm there. But I sat at his daughter's desk. I mean, Chloe's going to the second grade, you know what I mean? And it hurts being a father and knowing what was taken from his kids. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Especially having daughters, because no one loves you like your father. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And for them to be so young, his oldest is in 8th grade, his daughter Chloe's in 2nd grade, and Royal, I think he may be going to the 1st grade. It's tough. It's tough because I know what he meant to them. You know what I mean? But it also gives me perspective as far as what type of dad am I? and how can I make my daughters proud? Because I know so many young men and young guys that don't have their father because they were taken violently. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Shout out to Chloe, Sean Reed. Shout out to you, bro. I love you, bro. Yeah. They said this is my camera, so I'm gonna just point here.
You got a plan. Yeah. You with me today, baby. Yeah.
I love that. You've mentioned so many ways in which like this space has connected to you, but also like the relationships that you have built with others. I mean, you just continue to allude to that. What are you like building now? Like, what are you connecting to? Whether it's just like musically, digitally, audio, like books, whatever that may be, but also personally as well. You've mentioned so many different things as like your identity as being a father and how important that is to you. Obviously, there's connection within that. So broadly, like, what are you connecting to in this space and season of your life now?
Okay, so right now I'm in my dissertation phase. Well, not dissertation phase, but my last phase in my dissertation. I'm writing. Writing right now. I will be graduating May 10th, 2024 from Duquesne University with my doctorate degree. And it's crazy. I never walked for my master's degree. I finished but never walked. I don't know why. I don't know who Brother Lloyd was. I'm not walking, but I'm gonna walk May 4th for my master's and May 10th for my doctorate. So those 2 weeks are gonna be super dope. So just being an educator and like really learning how to be a better me through my research. You know, musically I'm connected. I've been banging the Young Thugs new album Business is Business.
It is indeed.
Yes, business is business. Shout out to that. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know who I'm talking to when I put in this camera. Shout out to Atlanta. But it was the album was super dope and a lot of connections. I use music as a slate. Like, I know I ain't listened to no other music that weekend except that album. So 10 years from now, when I hear that album, it puts me back to where I was at. And I use music to really highlight that in my life. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Brother Lloyd.
So that's just crazy you say that. So they start practicing. Yeah, so they told me
Sounds
that
nice, right?
I gotta, if I want Brother Lloyd to be on my my degree, it goes by your email. So whatever you registered as a student, it would go by that. But they said, like, if you want Brother Lloyd to be on there, we can put it on there. You know what I mean? So it's dope, but I'm a senior now. So I can't, like, Brother Lloyd, my son's name ain't Brother Lloyd. I mean, but being a senior, that's even more, and I'm probably jumping shit, but just being a senior, having a junior is very special to me because we lost my wife's father about 5 years ago to colon cancer, and he was a senior, and I caught him that. You know what I mean? So, and it was super dope. I've been with my wife. We'll be married for 10 years next year, but we've been together for 20. So he has been a father in my life for those years. You know what I mean? But when he passed, like it's difficult still. Like it's still difficult, but me being like, order pizza, yeah, senior's here. You know what I mean? They look around, senior, they're looking for somebody old. They're like, no, it's me, I'm a senior. Are you sure? Like, yeah, bro.
Wait, are you sure?
Yeah, that's me, you know what I mean? But just really being mindful of fatherhood, bro, you know what I'm saying? Especially on the eve of my good friend's birthday, for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned so much there that I want to unpack. And the first of which is, you know, holding on to Brother Lloyd, you know, and it's like you're a brother to so many, you know, even with like connecting with you, you know, just today here and learning more about you, that you're going through this like continuum, this evolution, you know. You're mentioning like Brother Lloyd when you first started here looks totally different than Brother Lloyd, who's going to have a PhD, you know, it's coming soon.
For sure.
But I would dare to say the impact is continuing to evolve as well.
Yes.
So as you look back at your time here and like transferring that to this like coming season of being a doctor, which carries its own weight as well, how do those two things differ? And did one lead into the other?
I want to say it's more of me being an identifiable role model to other black young boys. You know what I mean? That before anything else, I'm judged upon arrival when I walk into the door. So when they see my locks, when they see my gold teeth, I mean, it's like to see the tattoos, like, but no, I kill all those stereotypes once we start talking. You know what I mean? And it really developed me as that self-identity. Like you can, if you want to be in the streets, you can be in the streets. That's not for me, and it's okay. And when you find like-minded individuals like that, it's a lot easier to grow up. You know what I mean? Because I went to Central Catholic, and I'm smart. It's cool.
Yeah.
I never hit it. You know what I mean? And I was surrounded with other strong, smart black males. Mm-hmm. So it was never looked at, oh, he's a nerd or he's corny because I want to get good grades. That was the standard. You know what I mean? Yep. So to have that and then still be in the community and be able to relate to the kids, because I make good grades, I'm still going through the same traumas that you're going through because we live in the same neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Like I heard them same shots that you may have heard. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So being mindful of that and just trying to just better myself every day. You know what I mean? Because it's big shoes to fill, and when you come in this space, a lot is expected of you just because you are a young black man. And some people falter under that, and some people grow. But I know, like I said before, without CEA, there is no Brother Lloyd. You know what I mean? But I'm more confident with the Brother Lloyd in front of people that may not look like me, because it used to be, hi, I'm Brother Lloyd. What's his name? Brother Lloyd. How you doing, Lloyd? And it's like,
nah, I'm Brother Lloyd.
I used to shy away from that, though. I let it ride.
Yeah.
I used to let it ride because I'm not a big confrontation guy. Like, I don't like it. But it's like, no, I'm Brother Lloyd. You know what I mean? And it's like that brother part that throws some people off, and it's like, you know what I mean? But no, like, that's who I am through and through, is Brother Lloyd. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, for sure. That brings up so many thoughts in my mind, which is great to process for me individually and then kind of regurgitate it back to you. First thing that popped into my mind was there's been a lot of interviews, and there's a lot of individuals that I hold near and dear to me in this present time that are black individuals that are feeding into me, but thinking of Killer Mike, Run the Jewels, amazing rapper, but also had a statement where he said specifically growing up in Atlanta and in Georgia that he didn't think of himself as a deficit mindset. Mm-hmm. It's like I was around black men that held power, value, and said, I'm feeding into you because you're the next. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's literally what you just shared with us in a different verbiage. It's like, I mean, I was astute, well-versed, knowledgeable in whatever aspect that you wanted to ask of me or provide to me. But I didn't think like I'm less than anyone. It was, I got the power right here to be able to knock out whatever you're throwing to me.
For sure.
I appreciate you sharing that, because that's a space that I urge and kind of want to lean into a lot of the time, is because we're in a space now where the world is what you make of it, and it's always been that. And the spaces that we want to cultivate and empower, we're doing that in an emphasis to say that the next generation, your daughter, the next President Obama, Michelle Obama, can hear the name Marcus Schaffner, can hear Brother Lloyd and say, that's me. That's me 20 years from now.
For sure.
Better, bigger, more impactful.
Exactly.
Because there's no stone left unturned that they can't accomplish. So hopefully this is a vessel for that.
Yeah, and I love the mindset, and that's admittedly what we're trying to cultivate through the podcast is growth in individuals, but also coupling that with claiming space and the ability to do just that. But admittedly, you don't invest in assets that don't grow.
For sure. For sure.
That's naive.
Yeah.
So you got to have that internal strength to know that you are that asset that can grow,
For sure.
And having that mindset there. And that comes back to like a couple of things that you just mentioned that I was thinking of as well, as we're kind of like processing, as Marcus just mentioned as well, is you mentioned expectations as you entered this space, and how that shaped you. And expectations can be crippling, admittedly. But that harkens back to those that know, like, I'm valuable, and I know my space, I know what I can be. And that's very much easy to do on easy days, as you kind of alluded to. It's very much more difficult when you're experiencing trauma, when you're experiencing X circumstance, as you just mentioned. Like, I heard those gunshots too, but I had two options, be better or be worse, so to speak, in that space. So I want to commend you for that, but also the way in which you're just nurturing that in this space as you're continuing this legacy, but also externally, outside the four walls of this place as well. So I want to give you kudos there.
Thank
Is there
you,
anything
man.
you wanted to share?
That.
No, I mean, again, I love everything that's been said, and it just gets me more inspired to continue the work, but also facilitate brotherhood in a space to continue that too. So you did reference, and we're sitting in Pittsburgh, from the Knoxville area, like that's home for you. What was Pittsburgh like? What was the childhood memory that continues to drive home that, I kind of like Pittsburgh? It's a loaded question.
Yeah, like, Pittsburgh, for me, I was fortunate to be close to the streets, but oblivious to what was going on. You know what I mean? Like when I seen the guys in the Mustangs 5.0s and I seen the SS Monte Carlos, cool. Love the cars, but I didn't know how they were getting the money. You know what I mean? So I was oblivious to the harm that was being done in the community. I was oblivious to gun violence for the most part of my upbringing, which was a blessing, but it was in 2006, one of my closest friends, Antonio Hampton, shout out to you, bro, he was murdered in 2006, and that was a turning point in my life because that was the really first time someone my age died from gun violence. You know what I mean? And he would have celebrated his 37th birthday this year. And it's crazy, I believe after next year, I will be mourning him longer than I knew him. And I had this, when I looked at the dates, I'm like, wow, bro, he's about to be gone almost 18 years. And he was 18. But it's like, I'm literally mourning him longer than I'll ever know him. And I got him tattooed on my thigh. He's forever frozen as a kid. Like, I'll never be able to see him get older. And that sometimes is hard, but it drew me so much closer to finding who I really want to be. You know what I mean? Like, I can be mad, but what I'm gonna do? Retaliate? I ain't built like that, and that's cool. What am I gonna do? Because we consider each other brothers. He doesn't have an option to be lazy. Doesn't even have an option. So it's like, I'm like, man, I don't want to do this paper, but he can't even say I don't want to do a paper. He can't even say I don't want to go to class. So who the hell am I? Excuse my French. who am I to say I can't or I don't feel like it? Who am I? Like, so that gave me a lot of perspective as a kid at 18 years old, but not knowing how to really use it. You know what I mean? And my trauma is my driving force. You know what I mean? I use my trauma as my driving force. I've known over 20 individuals die from gun violence. You know what I mean? And that's my work for my dissertation. I'm focusing on that, but not just the statistics regarding gun violence, but how does indirect community trauma hurt a third grader, fourth grader trying to just do math, trying to just survive in school. You know what I mean? With the traumatic experience they may be going through. So just really being a voice for the students, for the kids. I mean, I think that's my purpose now, like to really highlight what they're going through and really check on their well-being and their mental health. You know what I mean? So, growing up Pittsburgh hurt me. Like I have all my traumatic experiences have been at the hands of other black men. And I'm not ashamed to say that. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot's going on, but my pain comes directly from other black men. But I love my black men. You know what I mean? And that, in that is strength, because I don't want a kid to be coming up to feel like he doesn't have nobody to talk to about what he's going through. Because I was that kid. And then it's when I met Martell, who is Queen Mother's son, met him in 9th grade, going into Central Catholic. Then I met some other homies, and we all we're dealing with the same stuff. And it's like, oh, bro, you too? Like, I'm not alone in this. And through our hardships, we have a bond that can't nothing break, bro. So
Yeah.
Pittsburgh was dope growing up here. It has its good. I talk about the bad, but there's also lovely things too. I met my wife here. You know what I mean? I met her family. I have kids. I'm born and raised here. I love Pittsburgh, but I'm lucky to have grown up and still be like I was on the porch. I seen what was going on, but I really didn't know what was going on. You know what I mean? And I think that ignorance was bliss for me. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know what my cousin was doing. Could lead him in jail for years. You know what I mean? I just knew that was my cousin. I get good grades. He'll give me $100 an A. Like, well, hold on, I got 9 classes.
And I got 9 A's.
I got
to
9
run it
A's. So I had my report card in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Every time I went to grandma's house. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, that's Pittsburgh, man. That's Pittsburgh.
And I'm like commending, just on, you've alluded to others that were in that space as well, coming from the same neighborhood as you, and having totally different outcomes, so to speak. You in the space where you're giving back to the community, saying this doesn't have to be you or this doesn't have to be us collectively, to the point where you're leading this in this capacity that you're doing now, but also conversely, like as you alluded to, others didn't make it out, quote unquote, within that space. So I want to commend you for getting out proverbially, but also bringing others with you. It's one thing for you to make it out. It's another for you to bring 10 people along with you, so to speak. That's exponential growth. I also want to harken back as well to the ways in which like you're nourishing others within this space as well. Can you talk to us about that, the ways in which you're giving back to the community in addition to, you mentioned kind of like conceptually, bringing people with me. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you're doing that now.
Okay, so Brother Lloyd, part of One Nation Mentoring, also with Kevin McNair. Shout out to Kevin McNair, KK, love you, bro, and Sam Morant. We met as Hines Fellows back in 2013, and out of a nationwide search, I think like 210 applicants, they chose 10. Out of those 10, me, KK, and Sam, we created One Nation Mentoring, where our vision is to change the negative narrative of African American youth. Know what I mean? So we've been in existence this will be our 8th year. Know what I mean? We didn't know what we was doing. LLC, what is that? You know what I mean? But we got forms, we got folks. So that in itself was a learning process. But our approach to mentoring, our approach to education is mindfulness. You know what I mean? Like, we build trust with all our mentees before I can even talk about your grades. If you don't want to hear what I got to say, what we doing here? You know what I mean? So we build a foundation of trust before anything else, and we start our conversation like, how you doing? How you feeling? You know what I mean? And kids say, fine, but I can visibly see you're upset. Bro, you don't got to lie to me, but when you want to talk about it, I'm here. And then the kids will look like, okay, now they may come an hour later, a week later, a month later, but they come back, you know what I mean? So within One Nation Mentoring, bro, it's like I get to be myself. You know what I mean? I wear my fronts every day. There was a couple of years ago, shout out to KK, we was going to a fundraiser over at the Carnegie Museum, and had to wear a blazer. I'm like, oh, blazer, what was a blazer? You know what I'm saying? Had to go get a blazer real quick, and then I'm like, do I take my teeth out? I'm like, no, man, that's you. And I'm like, yeah, man, that is me. And it seemed so simple, but to me, it is a part of me. And for me to even think about changing for someone else and to get that support immediately, that's what One Nation's about, like supporting who you are. You know what I mean? And that's how I give back. You know what I mean? So One Nation's in Brashear High School, and that's 9th through 12th. And we're also at Dixon STEAM Academy in the Willow Hill School District, and that's 6th through 8th. You know what I mean? But we work from pre-K to college. I just spoke up St. Vincent College a couple weeks ago, you know what I mean, to rising juniors. You know what I mean? But that class would have had my homies in there. That's why I showed you Jafar. Yeah. Rest in peace, Jafar, Brooke, Stephen Easton. I love you, bros. You know what I'm saying? It was my 2 mentees, nephews. They were tragically killed a couple years ago. You know what I mean? 15 and 16. And it's like, how do you, as a father, as a parent, to not smell your child. You know what I mean? Like, how do you go on? You know what I mean? Like, so being mindful of all the emotions I have, and I talk to my kids about what I'm going through. Like, man, Brother Lloyd need to talk to y'all. You know what I mean? Because when they see the vulnerability, they know they can be vulnerable too. And I have learned through that, that's where the magic happens. Like when you're vulnerable. And because, especially as men, we won't put our guard up. You're gonna see me cry. I had to talk to you earlier, so I ain't crying now. But no, it's like, and I'm not crying because I'm hurt. It's more like I'm crying because I'm mindful of my hurt. You know what I mean? And pushing through it. You know what I mean? Pushing through it. You know what I mean? So.
It's the process of healing.
Yeah.
You know,
Scary.
we've been reminded that individually, but also with interviews, it's the process. We all need to go through that process. Yeah. There's no shame in that. Sure. And the stigma of black men crying, like, hopefully everyone collectively can abolish that.
This is, I'm an ugly crier.
Okay.
I didn't want to be
I
ugly.
know, right?
This is HD. I know this is HD. You know what I'm saying? 4K
Sucking on the
here.
lip. Good.
Slate.
That's too good. But we do know that biking is an avenue for you that you enjoy. And I think we'd love to be able to hear that experience for you. I mean, knowing the Knoxville area, McKinley Park nearby, what did biking look like for you as a kid and to now? Because it's completely different now.
So biking as a kid was freedom. Like I said, I lived in Knoxville. My grandma, she didn't let me off the block, like, because she knew what was going on, though. I didn't. Like, Grandma, we're playing hide and seek. You mean to tell me I could only go up 4 houses? I'm going to get caught every time, Grandma. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my grandma. I love you. Rest in peace. The bike, okay, Grandma, I'm going to Food Land. I just ride my bike, and she was okay with riding the bike to the barbershop. Her brother had a barbershop in Mount Oliver, Brownsville Road, James McGinnis Barbershop, and I was able to ride my bike there and ride it back. So the bike let me get a little bit more freedom when I was a kid, but it also led people to try to take my bike. You know what I mean? I had a Royce Union. Oh man, chrome, blue decals, had the diamond cut pegs. I don't even know what pegs were used for back then, but the bike was so, oh man, I loved it. I never forget, top of the street, guys like, let me ride your bike. I'm like, okay. Like, yeah, you want to ride my bike?
You gonna bring it back, right?
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, but not even thinking that he was, you know what I mean? Like, so then one of my friends came, he was like, no, don't let him ride your bike. And then he was like, and he walked down the street. I'm like, okay. Didn't realize he was about to steal my bike. Steal my freedom. He's going to steal my freedom. You know what I'm saying? But what was I told? Don't let no one ride your bike. So it would have been on me. You know what I mean? So it gave, having a bike gave me responsibility, gave me freedom. But it looks different now as far as cycling. I got in an accident 3 years ago, and I'm still paying for it. Like, I have a pinched nerve in my elbow, and I just got it diagnosed maybe 2 months ago. So it's like, why is my hand tingling? You know what I mean? So biking is a form of escape. I mean, I always, when it gets tough, because I have a few family members in prison right now, and if I was in a situation like that and someone told me, okay, you can be free as long as you keep pedaling, you're going to go. You're not going to think about stopping. So I always had that in the back of my mind. If someone said, how far can you go till you're free? Like, how many miles I got biked to get my cousin out? You know what I mean? Like, it's put in perspective like that. So there's little things that get me through some hard, rough, long mileage. You know what I mean? But yeah, biking is a way for mindfulness too, because you don't, and especially with the youth I'm trying to get involved in, because you don't got to be the smartest, you don't got to be the fastest, the strongest, but you do have to get back. You know what I mean? So whatever that is for you, though, like doing 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, once you complete it, it's like, bro, I did that. I can do more. And just having that attitude to everything, though. You know what I mean? But to be mindful that you're not just riding a bike. You got to look out for things on the road. You got to worry about other cyclists, other runners. There's so much going on those two wheels that I don't know if other cyclists are aware of how much concentration it takes just to pedal, you know what I mean? And that mindfulness is directly influenced into how I work.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing point because it brings up a larger community sense, especially when you get youth or a community on a bike. You know, if we're all in a Peloton riding on the Gap Trail and now we're forming a line, if I point out a pothole, like you should be aware of that, or we're gonna be walking bikes back. You know, like it takes a community to be able to steer the ship appropriately, but also to make sure we all have a great time and can sustain this. So that's an amazing point, and thank you for sharing that.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, and you know, again, giving back to the community. Tell us about Still Ride Rollers.
Okay, so Still Ride Rollers, our mission is to inspire change, encourage mindfulness, and to connect generations through cycling and wellness. So this was something a couple of the homies came up with during the COVID time. I mean, getting my belly, I was like, well, bro, I'm gaining weight. We gotta do something. So we just came. The same. So we came together and really just start biking together, and we would meet down at the Rite in Lawrenceville. So that's where the Still Ride Rollers came from. You know what I mean? That's where our meetup place was at, and just riding and fellowshipping, man. And a lot of dope fathers are within this. You know what I mean? Shout out to Frog, your bro. Shout out to DT, bro, triathlete. Like he's like, bro, it's crazy. His story is crazy, bro. His DT story is crazy. Shout out to Brennan and Dorian, man. But we just came together, man. It was just really riding. You know what I mean? And talking about things, like talking about mental health. You know what I mean? Talking about fatherhood, talking about traumas. You know what I mean? Talking about what's going on in relationships. It was just a way where we can really decompress. You know what I mean? And really talk about what's going on and not be judged. You know what I mean? But a lot of people was going through the same things, but no one ever said nothing. You know what I mean?
You mentioned, like throughout all of this, you mentioned like the connection that you've had with others. You know, and I think it's like manifesting in a couple of different ways. First with your mention in high school. You know, it's like you were talking to like classmates and others, and then you found out that they like are going through the same traumas as you, and then you like build this like community in which you can be transparent and, you know, vulnerable with them. And you mentioning that kind of like the start to where you are now with Still Ride Rollers, with like riding a bike alongside others that perhaps may be going through the same circumstances as you, and that being therapeutic. Do you have like free game for others? Because I know there's always barriers to being transparent, but also barriers to saying, I need help. You know, and perhaps like one of those two things were what stemmed, you know, these communities that you've built. But you have game for others to say like, look, I've been through it, and this is how I built this community around me, by just saying like, I need some support, or like, let's go ride a bike together, and who knows what that leads to. Do you have game for anyone on that?
I would say just be true to yourself. Like really be true. If you're not okay, don't say you're okay. You know what I mean? Like really love yourself. You know what I mean? Like you can put a mask on for so many people, but you can't, when you look in the mirror, that mask is not on no more. Like you have to really face your trials and tribulations. You know what I mean? Because growth is uncomfortable. And we say that to all the kids we work with. Growth, when you feel like it's uncomfortable, you don't want to do this, you're on the right path. You know what I mean? Like, so when I know when bad things happen in my life, good has to balance it. It has to. Like there's no ifs, no. Like when something tragic happens, like yesterday was my homie's birthday. Today I'm talking about him in an interview. Regular guy from the South Side, you know what I mean? But having these opportunities to just even talk about what I'm going through is amazing. You know what I mean? I got this, I knew this feeling was gonna happen when I first met you, I mean, at the coffee shop, because it was organic. You know what I mean? So just be true to yourself. Like if you want to do better, do better. If you don't, that's cool too. And like how I tell the kids, I'm like, we have our goals or what we're trying to do for the school year. I want to make honor roll. So all right, first quarter goes away, get the printouts. Well, out of 30 assignments, you only turned in 4. These tests, you're not completing, you're not turning in homework. So do you want to make honor roll? Yeah, Brother Lloyd. Well, no, you don't, and that's cool. If you don't want to make honor roll, you don't got to tell that to me. And then the kids, it throws them off. Like, what do you mean? You don't love me, Brother Lloyd? I say, yeah, I love you, bro. But you have to love yourself. And if you're saying you want to do X, Y, and Z, but you're not doing what you need to do to get it, what we talking about?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to be true to yourself when kids like, Brother Lloyd, I really don't want to succeed. All right. Because it's your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's your life. You know what I mean? Of course, I don't let them feel that way too long, but it's like, you got to want it. You have to want it. You know what I mean? And if you don't, you won't.
Mm-hmm. And that's how success is bred with ecosystems just as that. You know, to be true to yourself, but also to have people that challenge you to say, is this really what you want?
Is it?
You know, like if it's not, cool. We're like, this doesn't negate our friendship, but if it is, like, let's do it together.
Yes.
You know, let's be better.
Yes.
So I love the growth and just like the ecosystems that you're building, you know, and continuing to nurture, as you've kind of alluded to it as well. Do you have like upcoming things with Still Rite Rollers? Are there like other upcoming rides? Are there ways that people can get engaged and connected to that?
For sure, definitely check us out on Instagram and Facebook. But we had a ride this morning and it got canceled due to the weather. But we have another ride coming up in September. I want to say through Pogo. Shout out to Pogo Bikes. Shout out to y'all. Community ambassadors for them, so that's how the connection between us even came across. Mm-hmm. I mean, shout out to Aaron.
Yeah, shout out to Aaron. Seriously, Aaron. Yeah, for sure.
That, but also with One Nation, we have a sneaker ball, 5th annual sneaker ball. To say this in my camera, it's my 5th annual sneaker ball, July 29th. Is not going to get it. You know, we're going to edit this out. You know but sneaker ball coming up, which is amazing. Our annual fundraiser for One Nation mentoring, and it's to really gather funds for future programming events, for the school year, because the foundations and the grants is cool, but even that river can run up and run dry. So how do we become sustainable on ourselves, where when we do get grants, it's cool, but that's not our main source of funding to push, or, you know what I'm saying, what One Nation is all about.
And how can we find out more about One Nation? Is there a website or anything that we can
so onenationmentoring.org, and you can find us at OneNation_mentoring on IG and Facebook.
And Still Rite Rollers.
Still Rite Rollers. Yep, Still Rite Rollers on IG and Facebook. Yep.
Perfect.
RITE for the right.
Yeah.
Still Rite Rollers.
Not right-handed. We ain't gonna be all right. What's your next adventure? We already referenced the bike ride that's going to be coming up, and we'll try to make sure to get that pushed out.
Yeah.
But anything else that's going on? The dissertation, Dr. Brother Lloyd.
Yeah, man.
Well, what else, man? So, what else is going on?
So my homie, Martell's, and his fiance, Jay, I'm saying fiance, Jay, getting married in Aruba, September 23rd. I'm the best man at his wedding.
Okay.
He was the best man at my wedding, you know what I mean? So the adventure of really getting my speech down. Writing my speech that they say I got a time limit. I was like, bro, I know this man over 15 years, bro. Like, no, I need more than 10 minutes. But so that's going to be a great trip. And Aruba was where me and my wife went for our honeymoon too. So we'll be celebrating 10 years next year. So this is like a little appetizer, you know what I mean, for our marriage as well. But I'm so happy for my brother, man. Like, to really, I love him. Mm-hmm. That's my dog, man. Yeah. That's my dog, and we've been through some storms together. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I would rather be in a storm with him than be in the sunshine with anybody else, though. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Real talk. So I'm just so happy for them and their union. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest adventure. We just came from an adventure, though, in Atlanta. Shout out, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Atlanta. But yeah, that's the next big adventure. Do our annual road trip down North Carolina with my babies. You know what I mean? They go see some family down there, but now that's it. I'm just really trying to focus in and get this dissertation approved and get this over with, bro. So, it's crazy how it's going to change. People want to start talking to me different. Like, I'm starting to get opportunity. I'm the same guy from the South Side, but now I got initials in front of my name, some letters. Now you're going to treat me different, but we're going to see. We're going to see.
That's Dr. Brother Lloyd.
Yeah, it's big moves.
Yeah, man.
And then, as always, as we kind of wrap, do you have shout-outs for anyone, organization, person?
Yeah, man. So shout out to One Nation. Shout out to One Nation. Shout out to Still Right Rollers. Already gave a shout out to my wife and my kids, but shout out to y'all again. I love y'all. Who else? There's an African proverb that says a person's soul never dies until the last person say their name. You know what I mean? So that's why I always say, you know what I'm saying, my homie's name. So shout out to Steven, Jafar, Sean. I love y'all. And that's just the most recent. And Brentel, too. Shout out to Brentel Clark. Those are the most recent transitions in my life. You know what I mean? For the past 4 years, that occurring. So shout out to them. Shout out to their families. Shout out to y'all, man. Like, shout out, no real talk. Shout out to y'all because this is my first experience. But to have this experience with someone that looks like me is super dope. You know what I'm saying? That I can't overlook that enough. You know what I mean? So I appreciate y'all taking time out y'all day, you know what I mean, y'all schedule to really just talk to this regular guy from the South Side, man. But I'm trying to shout out. Shout out to Martell. I love you, bro. You know what I'm saying? The wedding. Let's shout out to that, man. And shout out to all the dope black fathers. You know what I mean? And mothers too, but definitely for all the dope fathers that are really holding it down. You know what I mean? Not only for them, but also their family and hopefully their communities. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I mean, we want to thank you for the time. I mean, it's been a sentimental moment for us because the feeling that you have related to a space to speak your truth and your story is just as impactful for us.
Appreciate it.
We're literally sitting in a moment experiencing something that is so emotionally tied, and the power of seeing an individual like yourself in this space. Sharing it openly is just as beautiful to us as I'm sure the viewers are going to experience. Yeah. And, you know, we are just grateful for that opportunity. So
yeah, man, nah, man.
And humbled for that.
Yeah.
Humbled.
It's like, I don't know, like everybody has a story, you know what I mean? And I have always been, I'm okay with not being a leader. You know what I mean? Because I know how strong you have to be a leader, but also I can play the background and be cool with that too, and still work towards it. But I've been through a lot, man, and to still be able to feel the rain is like, I'm so appreciative of that fact. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, times do get hard, storms do come, but you're able to feel the storm, and I don't never want to lose that feeling. Because when that time comes, it's like, okay, what's wrong?
Yep.
You know what I mean? But no, like I don't enjoy the pain,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Yep. But I'm so happy that I'm able to still feel. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
And echoing Marcus as well. I mean, it's easy for us to come in here and you just be like, yeah, this place is cool. Like, there's this thing, and share nothing about yourself. You know, it's easy for that to occur because it's comfortable, as you kind of alluded to. So we're just grateful for you sharing your. I call it a testimony. I mean, frankly, for all that you're sharing as well, and the ways that it's going to inspire and impact others that perhaps look like us, but perhaps don't look like us.
Yeah.
To say like, Brother Lloyd made it, I can too, or Brother Lloyd likes to ride a bike on the Gap Trail, like. I can go check that out and do it too. So we're just grateful for you sharing that.
Thank you.
Because it's powerful. And we are just simply a conduit for others to share their stories. So we're grateful for people like you who are doing just that. So kudos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. With that, I mean, any closing remarks from you?
Think great, act great, be great.
I love that.
I also love that you're listening to business is business. So
Man.
To be quite honest.
For sure. Yeah,
me
that's how it goes. Yeah, for sure.
What we doing? Yeah. I love that.
No, that's real.
Well, with that, we'll wrap. Yeah.
another one.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you, guys.